All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. I know it's been a long time coming, but we are officially back on the Welcome to the J podcast. I am your host, Jahenns Manigat, aka 12, if you know me that way. Before we even get going, for you guys watching the video podcast, I'm wearing a very special to the J sweater. This is from one of the homegirls, Cindy Wilson. She's got her own clothing line coming out. The website is still in the works, but if you guys want to pre-order a sweater just like I'm wearing right now, a nice little tie-dye sweater commemorating the years that the J was the best bar in Omaha, you could go ahead and order or pre-order by emailing her at Sin City Clothing. That's CINCITYCLOTHING at gmail.com to pre-order your sweaters. You can also DM her. It's the same brand, Sin City Clothing, on Instagram. You guys can look that up and you could pre-order by DMing that. Now let's get on to the show. And this is a guest that I've been waiting to have on for so long. He's our 18th guest on the Welcome to the J podcast. He's the first player in Creighton history to be named to the MVC All Defensive Team in 3 straight seasons. He was also the Defensive Player of the Year in the Missouri Valley Conference in 2012. He represented Venezuela in the 2016 Olympics as their starting center. He finished his collegiate career with 1,364 points, 992 rebounds, 267 blocks, and 72 steals. He played for the Toronto Raptors in the Las Vegas Summer League. He just completed his 8th year of pro ball, having played in Belgium, Germany, Venezuela, and most recently Japan. He's a bigger man. He's 00, and he wears pink shoes, but I bet you won't say none to him about it. Gregory Echenique is in the building. What
Hey,
up,
what's
bro?
up, man? Thank you, man. That was good, actually. I'm
Man,
impressed. I didn't even know those numbers. That's pretty good.
that's what
That's Rob right
everybody
there.
tells me.
Rob was
Yeah, that's
the
Rob Anderson's
numbers
status right
guy.
there.
Yeah, that's next level. Yeah. No, thank you, man. I'm
It's
glad to be
so
back or to be here, actually. Talking to
mhm.
you. I know, it's been a minute, and looking forward to catching up with you and be a part of this that you're doing, man. This is pretty good, pretty cool that you're doing this project and you're
Yeah.
getting former players here, and I'm sure the people are loving it.
Bro, the first thing that everybody tells me after being on the show is that I give them the like best introduction they ever had. I kind of take pride in that, so I'm happy that you liked it too.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, you mentioned some stuff there. I'm like the whole points and rebounds and stuff. I didn't even know that,
Uh,
like right there. That's pretty good.
bro, first of all, congratulations. You're a father now. I'm so happy for you and your wife. How crazy is it for you to be in this new role in your life?
Man, well, thank you, by the way. It's great. It was difficult in the beginning because I don't know if you knew, but she had to come back. She gave birth in the States while I was playing in
Mhm.
Japan. So like I was with her for most, like, let's say, for the more than half of the pregnancy, but then I couldn't be here because of COVID. Like initially we
Mhm.
thought that I was gonna be able to fly back to Omaha and be here for the birth. But since Japan has a 2-week quarantine rule, and and it wasn't like a schedule, like C-section or anything, it was like a natural birth. We weren't sure what day. So
Mhm.
imagine if I couldn't ask for the team, like I would have to ask them for like a full month, which you know how it is. Like that's not gonna work. Like if I come back here,
Yeah.
then I gotta quarantine 2 weeks back. I get out of shape, so it's like it just. But once I got back and I got to meet my son and everything, right now it's awesome, man. I mean, it's definitely a lot of crying and a lot of stuff to the baby too,
Yeah.
uh, but we're getting there, trying to get on a good schedule, and it's weird, man. It's like you don't really know how it feels until you actually, until you're there, until you experience it, and it's been a blessing.
I'm going through some quarantine protocol stuff right now, being back in Canada. I'm technically not allowed to leave my basement essentially until I guess next
Yeah,
Tuesday. So I totally understand what you are talking about when it comes to, different countries with this craziness happening around the world, different countries taking their precautions. Has that been
yeah.
probably the toughest thing for you to deal with since you've been playing overseas? I would imagine the birth of your son, an ability to be there, definitely is tough up there on the list of stuff that, is troublesome when this is the job that you perform at.
Yeah, this is difficult. I mean, I'm glad it actually happened on a game day. We had a game that day, and I thought
Mhm.
I was nervous that I was even going to miss it because the plan was that I was going to be on video call, so at least I was going to be able to see it. And we weren't. I'm going to miss it. We had shoot around. I go to shoot around, and I'm like, ah. And then I come back, and right as I came back, I was actually able to see the whole thing at least on video. But so that
Mhm.
made it a little better. And we also won that day, so it made it like even a little like more special. Like because we hadn't, it was a rough season by the way, so we were like looking for wins, and then that day was like perfect. Like my
Yeah.
son's birth, and then we won, and so just all, and I was able to at least see it. And
Mhm.
but but it is more credit to her. I mean, she understood. My wife, she understood what was happening and that I had to be in
Mhm.
Japan working, and that definitely helped.
Yeah. Basketball has brought you literally all over the place, but the first time that it brought you away from home was when you were a teenager. You go from Venezuela to St. Benedict's, you know. Tell me that
Right.
feeling of like literally being 14, 15 years old, being told like, hey, this is the time where you have to pack up your things, you have to go away from home if you want these dreams of yours, to come true.
Man, yeah. I was 14 at the time, and I mean, I don't know. I guess being so young, sometimes you don't even realize what's about to happen. So I think that kind of helped. They
Yeah.
say ignorance is bliss. So I think, yeah, I
Yeah.
think I didn't know what I was getting myself into, especially St. Benedict's being. I had no idea how competitive high school basketball could be in states, and especially that program. So and Coach Hurley, who's now coaching UConn. He's
Mhm.
obviously one of the best coaches I ever had, but he's tough. He's a tough guy, and for me coming in, uh, it was definitely a shock at first. I mean, I knew that I had some talent, but I definitely needed to polish some things that just unfortunately we just don't get. At least in Venezuela, we didn't have. We didn't have that setup where you study and have competitive basketball right after, and like it's all structure. We didn't have nothing like that, so I couldn't. I kind of went in to like the dark, and having to figure out a new language too, and it was a lot, definitely a lot, but it helps you grow fast, and people that were very helpful, and I was kind of able to. You know how it is, man. Being a foreign, you ain't got a choice. You do it or you don't. I mean, you go home, and I didn't want to go back home, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like I have much of a choice, but I'm glad that I did that, and it definitely shaped me into I think who I am today, and everything that we went through in college.
You had a wonderful host family that kind of guided you through that whole time where obviously you're a young teenager and then coming into your own as a man. And you guys are still obviously really close to this day. Talk about like how being in that family structure, being so far away from home, helping your development, not only obviously on the court, but also off of it as far as just like social life is concerned.
Oh yeah, man, they definitely the Smiths, yeah, the Eileen, and
Mhm.
Coach Smith, Scott Smith, Kieran, Kaylee, Morgan, yeah, they're definitely. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say like they. I want to use the word save me just because I hated high school, man. Like I love what that high school did for
Yeah.
me and everything, but it was so many rules and it was just a lot, man. And I'm like, man, I'm ready because when you're from another country, you see all these movies and it's, oh, the high school parties and like the American lifestyle and all this and that. But I was seeing none of it because I was like in there, study basketball, study basketball, study basketball, study basketball. So none of it, zero. So it's
Yeah.
like I felt like I was lied to, and once they took me in, I believe through I think it was my sophomore year or finishing my freshman year, I was able to at least see a different side. I was able to go to the mall. I was able to meet people my age. I was able to just see outside a little more and more of like a family setting, and
Mhm.
it made it all so much better. I mean, I couldn't even. I mean, yeah, like as you know, to this day, we're still in touch, and we will ever be in touch. Uh, but I could never probably repay them what that meant for me and what it did for me. You can't even put it in words. Like it was everything at that time.
You go from St. Benedict's to Rutgers. I'm sure you had plenty of options coming out of high school as far as school is concerned. What made you pick Rutgers at first? What was it about that program that just obviously it was a little bit closer? You were just down there at St.
Yeah.
Benedict's, but what was it about the program that made you, want to be a part of it from the beginning?
Yeah, man, that recruiting process is pretty wild. I think it definitely being in the program that I was and having so many good players around me, we always had coaches coming in and out of practices. So like it definitely um, helped me get some more exposure and I was playing well too, but I know that was also a factor. So I did pretty much on the East Coast. I feel like almost not to sound cocky, I probably could have gone about anywhere. And no, really, it was insane. I never literally like thought that like we used to get buckets and buckets of letters and crazy. It was crazy. But um the thing with Rutgers was that they were the first school that offered me and they were the first school that believed in me. And they were kind of down the road, like you said. So we would just kind of visit there a lot. And at the time, they had like the football games going on. They were doing well, so like they used to. We spent a lot of time there just because it was just close, and it just felt familiar. And then at that year, they were trying to bring in a group of guys. They put like a really good recruiting class, and I just thought that meant something. I thought that maybe we could go in there. Just because it's a state school, it's huge, so it's so much different than high school. So I think that also kind of like was attractive to me, that it was just so big. And like I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this is like the actual um like college lifestyle that I was seeing in movies or whatever, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and yeah, and I said maybe we can go in there and do something that feels mine. Like if I go to a bigger program and just you're not that special. I mean, that was my thought process then. And so yeah, so that's kind of why I went with it. And I still have some pretty good friendships there. And I mean, it was that year college basketball was crazy too, man. But I played well. I mean, I played, and when we tried,
Yeah,
we gave it a shot.
that's really
We
what
gave
I
it a
was
shot.
going to say. I was looking at the numbers before, as I'm preparing for the podcast. Your freshman and sophomore year numbers before you got hurt were actually they're really, really good. And it kind of
Man,
got me wondering if it wasn't for the eye injury, would you have ever thought about leaving Rutgers?
you know what? That's a really. I don't even think nobody's ever asked me that. Actually, I'm sure no one ever asked me that before. I don't know, man. Maybe not actually, because
I mean, it worked to my
yeah,
benefit. You were my teammate for a couple of championship teams, so I'm not mad
yeah,
about it.
no, I'm not either. I mean, that's. I'm sure we'll talk about it soon, but
Yeah.
so I mean, it all played out really well. Besides, obviously, all the surgeries I had to go through and all of that, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have because it's like usually people transfer because they're not like getting enough playing time or this and that. I was getting all the playing time, and like I said, that freshman year we didn't win a lot just because, man, like we had the number two like and three team in the country was in the Big East. That's like that year the Big East was just a killer.
Packed.
So man,
Yeah.
so it was like tough, but that's fine. I mean, that's basketball, that's competition. So I think the eye situation was just like how everything went down. It was like an opportunity for like, okay, like I think it's the right move to do, and I'm glad that it went that way.
Yeah, it's just kind of wild to think about. I was actually thinking about that too. Like G transferred it to Creighton, but man, you had the body, you had the size, you had the athleticism to definitely, compete in that old Big East. Isn't it kind of wild that when you look at Creighton now, they're part of the new Big East, and you left the school, went to the
Yeah,
Missouri Valley, and now that
I know,
school is back in the conference that you started at.
I know, I know. It's like basketball works like it works in mysterious ways, and stuff like that happens.
Mhm.
Just how it is crazy where you like when you're playing overseas and you always see somebody that you know or somebody that you know somebody that you know, and it's like it's
Right.
just basketball is just something else. But I'm happy for them though. I think, and you were a part of that team too. That first year, I believe that
Yeah.
you guys transition, and I mean it's a powerhouse too, man. I mean now people know, like they know who we are.
Yeah, 100%. So you got recruited by Altman when you decided to transfer, but kind of like me, you got recruited by Altman and but had to play for Coach McDermott. Because you had to sit out for that half year due to your injury and stuff like that, and your eligibility. You were part of a legendary scout team with Coach Croft, with Ethan Rogge, with Greg Gibbs, Matthew Dover, Stormberg, Ross Farini, all those guys, man. Talk to me about like that half year where you were watching us play all of our games. You knew that you were gonna get in December, but for just from basically from September to December, you just had to work on yourself, work on getting back into
Mhm.
game shape and all that stuff. Talk to me about the concentration that it took for you to stay focused and keep your eyes on the prize, even though at that time you weren't playing.
Yeah, man. It was also once again another difficult thing that happened during my career. I mean, I basically I was close. I could have been blind. I mean, it wasn't that it was close to happening. So then my whole recovery process, it was we had to be real careful, and that's where, like, everybody at Creighton, like, uh they they took such good care of me, and I had to basically, all my rehab process was it had to be like really well done, because I couldn't do a lot of impact stuff because of my eye. I was still healing, and
Mhm.
I gained weight easily. Still do. I did back then. I still do, and so I had to like really watch what I ate. I had to do all these things, and like, and it comes back to being a foreign. Like, this is it. Like, my family. I left my family. I did all this. I'm like, I gotta make it worth it. I mean, I wasn't. I could have just feel sorry for myself and not do anything and whatever. But like, I wanted to be back on the court. I wanted to. This school gave me a second chance. They took me when I was injured, so they trust me. So I got to trust them back and do what they asked me to do to, like, be able to play. And little by little, I was getting there. And like you said, man, that scout team, I feel like that scout team has always been legendary, man. We kicked their ass when we were in there, and they kicked our butts when we weren't even there. So I don't think they definitely did not needed me,
Yeah.
because, man, like, that was, and I saw Matt the other day too, and that scout team was scary, man. They should have been out
Scary.
there.
Yo, people don't understand the struggle. Every
Yo,
day was a struggle in practice. Trying to guard Roth off
man,
down screens. Taylor Stumber will hit you with a little 1-2 step. Yo,
God,
those guys are legendary. They don't know how well they prepared us for
man,
those games because honestly, like I don't know how
absolutely.
you felt, but for the majority of the games when I came in, I was like, I know everything that's about to happen because even
Mhm.
sometimes the scout team ran the plays better than what we saw on game day. So big shout out to those guys. You guys kept me prepared for
Absolutely.
those 4 years, 100%. Bro,
Absolutely. And
you
even
talked
like,
about, you gaining. No, go ahead, go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say that scouting and what they did is a lot better than even in professional. Like, they prepare, like they really watched their film, they really did their
Mhm.
stuff, and like, so yeah, like you said, like big shout out to those guys. Like, that scout team is definitely legendary. Always was.
Um, you mentioned earlier about your weight gain, because you were injured and you couldn't really do the training that you wanted to. Bro, I'm still
Right.
pissed off at you because on my visit, when I weighed only about like 160 pounds, you hit me with a screen that changed my life, bro. I promise you. At that time, you
Man,
were just coming off that injury. You weren't
uh-huh.
training too much, but you did play pickup with us when I was on my visit. And I remember being like, all right, this is Division 1 basketball because my ears are ringing. This big dude came out of nowhere and just hit me with a screen, and I don't even know how to react.
Yeah, but I think, well, I think, no, I know that then I was close to 300, man. I never hit 300, but I was like right one step right there, and
Yeah.
because like I said, I couldn't do much, but thankfully, like I said, I was able to get back down. But yeah, I remember your visit too, and it was fun too, man. I don't know, like basketball, I guess. Then also felt a little different. You know, when we were playing pickups and we had recruits and we were doing stuff with the class, like it's just a different feel to it. I would say, or at least for me. But but yeah, man, it was definitely good times.
You, because of that injury, you had to wear an accessory, the goggles, that really kind of defined, your style on the court. And then later on, we have the first, pink out game that Crane still continues to this day. And you have a really good game, that first pink out game. You decide to wear the pink shoes for the entirety of your career at Crane.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to me about how that style on the court helped, helped you off the court socially. I know people would come up to you and talk to you about your shoes, your
Yeah.
goggles. You would look up in the stands, you see kids wearing goggles, you see kids wearing pink shoes. How did it make you feel to see that the crowd and the fans really, accepted you and really rocked with you, because they were rocking your style basically in the stands
Hmm.
as you were playing?
Yeah, man, it was definitely it was interesting because I know that especially with the goggles, you always kind of think the people that wear them they kind of look funny, you know what I mean? Like you think, oh, you're gonna make fun of them, but then I ended up wearing them, and I'm like, man, now I have like a different type of respect for whoever wears goggles because it's not easy, man. Like if you don't get
Right.
the right ones, they fog up, and like it's a whole thing, man. It's a whole like adjustment that you have to do, and it's more than just putting the goggles on, and that like it takes some time. So definitely respect to a lot of people that or everybody that wears them. Um, but yes, so a lot of people don't know this, but there was actually after I decided to keep wearing the pink shoes for like every game, there was one game that I actually forgot them that I thought I left them in the locker room and um but I didn't I didn't have them, so I had to wear actually regular shoes. And I remember people started tweeting at me like, hey man, like what happened with like a lot of people started tweeting at me about it. And then that's kind of when I realized like yeah, somebody was like, hey man, like my wife noticed you didn't wear the pink what happened? And like my kid and then
Yeah.
uh that's kind of when I realized I'm like, oh wow, people like some people are actually like paying attention to this because I remember like
Right.
nobody, like none of you guys, like none of the teammates were like, "Hey man, what happened to like no one?" But like people on the outside, like
Mhm.
someone noticed, and I'm like, "Oh wow, this is actually catching some." And then there were like little like articles and people like trying to like rate the style of players on during the whole college basketball, and then I'll be in there with like they say I look like a creative player because I had like the pink shoes and the goggles, and then like I think one year like I had like a
The
sleeve
sleeves.
or
Yeah.
they little socks or something. So they said that that I look like a created 2K player or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it was some funny comments, man. Like I remember we used to go in the Missouri Valley, and obviously it was a lot of love, like you said, a lot of like our people loved it, and I had people also mad at me. It's like, man, now I gotta look to buy the pink shoes for my kids. I can't find any, and like stuff like that. So it's kind of nice to see that I made it into a thing, at least while I was there. But I
Mhm.
remember when we used to go to other places, the student sections used to let me have it, but some of them were creative and I didn't take offense to it, but they used to
Yeah.
say that I looked like Kimbo Slice, so that I was playing basketball in 3D with 3D glasses on and stuff like that. So it was some of them were pretty good. And
The
it was
fans
better
can be
because
ruthless, man. It's crazy.
we were winning. We were winning, so it actually made it good because I was playing
Yeah.
well. So that kind of that's not good if like you are trying all these different things out and then you're not winning. Then that makes you an easy target. But when you're winning and you're playing well, there's not much they can say to you. I mean, they can say something, but you're basically shutting them off.
I just remember thinking that following summer after, I guess, your sophomore year, my freshman year, watching all the kids at camp with pink shoes and goggles on. And that's
Mhm.
when I was like, yo, G's a fan favorite out here. Like, G could do no wrong. And I think part of that summer you spent with the Venezuela national team too. So it's like you weren't really around, but the rest of us who was working camps, who was around campus, who saw those kids out just in Omaha in everyday situations, we really noticed like, yo, this trend that G started is really taking off. Also, when Daryl was on the podcast, we talked about, I don't know if you remember, me, you, and him. it's funny that you mentioned a creative player on 2K. Me, you, and him used to create our own players on
Yeah,
2K, go on the
yeah,
same team,
yeah,
and try to
yeah.
win the NBA championship.
I know, man.
You
That's
put
that's
all
for
those
sure.
accessories that you were wearing, you put them on your created a player. So like that's why I'm laughing so hard right now.
Yeah. Well, I definitely was there. I didn't get my ideas from that when I decided to use them myself, but yes, they were definitely in
Yeah.
the game. So like what I'm saying, some insults or some whatever, like when they're trying to like get at me, they were creative, like they were good, like. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I remember that too, man. That was fun times. So creating yourself and stuff, that's definitely fun times.
We had two great seasons. It was your junior and senior year. We won the Missouri Valley tournament twice. We won the Missouri Valley regular season championship once. We made it to two NCAA tournaments. We beat uh, Alabama,
Uh-huh.
and then we beat Cincinnati in the first round. And then those two years, we lost to North Carolina once, and we lost to Duke. But you had two individual plays against both North Carolina and Duke that sticks in Crane fans' memory. The dunk over Tyler Zeller against
Hmm.
UNC, and the dunk against Mason Plumlee against Duke. Out of those two plays, which one was your favorite?
I think the North Carolina one was definitely good. I mean, that was such a fun game because we were also like we were there. It was basically their
Yeah,
home
we were
court.
in North Carolina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it just meant because I know we were obviously we were trying to come back in the game. We're trying to try, and I don't know, it was like a hype play. There was a little bit of frustration in it just because obviously we wanted to win and like how those uphill games could feel. And I don't know. I thought that felt good. That felt like I said, it was kind of like a frustration play, but it worked out. And I think he like uh, maybe like it gives. I mean, obviously we didn't win, but it gave us a little boost. Like okay, like we're here
Mhm.
too. Like we can. Um, so yeah, I would definitely the North Carolina. I know the video like uh, I think you can still find it on YouTube. It's out there somewhere. So but yeah, I would definitely pick that.
The one
And
that you had against Mason Plumlee, bro, you literally moved him out of the way and just threw down a left-handed dunk, which for whatever reason, I found that was kind of like your signature move. Instead of going to the right hook that most people would expect people to like for
hmm
you to go to because you're right-handed, you would just kind of give him that fake
hmm
and just go up hard with your left and just jam it over them. I saw you do it countless times, obviously in practice. Sorry, Will Artino, but it happened against you quite a bit.
oh man.
But also obviously in games, Jackie Carmichael, like all those guys got a taste of that move. So where did that, come from? Because obviously, like people would expect you to go with your right, but you would just spin back and dunk it with your left. Where did that move come from? Where did you learn it from? And
Uh,
I'm sure you still use it to this day, right?
I actually, I even after I left, it always works. Like it usually like always works. I have gotten a few people like that still, and just because I guess I'm not like I don't jump that high of like layup. Like some people jump off like a layup, I jump better off two, and that kind of gets me close. And then there's a little contact, and people are expecting, like you said, exactly like you said, people are expecting me to go back, but I just keep going left because I'm a right-hander. But a lot of my hooks actually are with my left. Like I use my left a lot, or at least now I don't. Honestly, I don't even remember how I was in college, but I know that now I use my left hooks a lot, and I think I mean, my dad. I worked with my dad a lot too. Like when I was off, like obviously off season, and he knows that. Like it's just common sense. If you're a right-handed player, I mean, people are gonna push it to your left. You're a left-hand player, people are gonna push it to your right, and it's usually how it goes. So most people are already like wired to defend that way. So it catches you by surprise because not only it's not gonna be a hook. I'm actually gonna go for it. And with my elbow, I create a little separation. So it's like once you're in
Yeah.
there, it's kind of like it puts you in. So I've been when I defend people or they're good like big, and I feel like I'm like you gotta like oh he might I think he might try the same thing on me. So like I have to like react quick because there's certain positions or situations that you get yourself into that if you don't react in a split second, it's too late. Like you're gonna be in a poster or you're gonna be embarrassed. So it's like, um,
Right.
yeah. So that's kind of, I guess it just became a thing, just trying to like take advantage of what people, the way that people defend you, and it worked. So I just kept doing it.
I'm glad that you mentioned your dad because what most people don't know is that he also played on the Venezuelan national team. He's a big
Yeah.
guy too. I met him. He's basically just as big as you, maybe not as, strong
Mhm.
as you anymore, but what kind of, advice has your father given you obviously throughout your career, throughout your life, as far as, post move, post skills, getting better day in, day out with those moves? What kind of advice has your dad given you?
Yeah. Well, my dad most of his advice is a lot of it is mental, about mental, like being mentally strong. Because he, like you said, he was a big man as well, but he didn't play like me. He actually played. He had a better like mid-range shot. He was more of like an athletic. He did play physical, but he wasn't like me that I'm like back to the basket and like more. I don't know. I guess now you can say it's like old school because everybody's just shooting threes and stuff.
Yeah, shooting threes.
But but a lot of his advice is mostly mental, man. It's just like being able to approach the game different, being able to trust yourself, being able to like visualize doing things like before the game starts, like visualizing, like, scoring this, running, rebounding. Um, and like I said, till this day, we work. We worked out this morning. I mean, we still like, still have a routine, and he kind of. So what I do is like I like to basically give him. I try to get the film for every season that I do. I get the film, he watches it, and then he knows what I'm doing in every game, so he knows kind of what my go tos are, and then we just try to work around that. But yeah, he has he's full of stories, man. He will talk for days, and he has because he played for 17 years in Venezuela, so he's seen a lot too, and so it's definitely been an advantage for me to be able to learn from him.
You, like I said in the open, you just completed your eighth year of playing pro. It's kind of crazy how quickly the years are going by and how
Yeah.
much, they're racking up there in years. But I want to talk to you specifically about your time that you played in Venezuela. You're a Venezuelan national team player. You go back home. You left home at such a young age, and you had a chance for a couple of seasons to go back and play in your home country. What was that feeling for you, like, just to be back in, I guess, your environment and doing the thing that you love in front of the people that you've known for so long?
Yeah, it definitely was nice, man. It was, you know, when I first started doing it, it gave me a chance, especially like I had a lot of my high school friends and people that like, I grew up with that they never really seen me play because I left, like you said, at such a young age and I did everything, basically my career in the States or most of it. And all they could hear was, or read in the paper, but they could never really see footage. I mean, at the time, social media wasn't as big. I mean, MySpace eventually started to like pop up, but like wasn't the same. Not yeah. I mean, exactly. That was like the big thing. It became the big thing around that time, and but
Yeah.
still, not everybody had like now. Most people have like a smartphone, and most people can watch it. Like then, you had to go to like a cyber cafe and pay like for an hour or something, and like get on your computer, and it's more difficult. So when I was able to go back, then people could see me grow as a player and supported me, and so definitely it was we had some good experiences. We're able to win some stuff and bring some sort of joy to the country, and it was nice. It was nice. Now, like nowadays, now that I have a family and now I'm playing, it's definitely being a little more difficult. Just because, like for example, being in Japan is it could even be like 70 games a season. Like it's a lot. Like the regular season is 60. If you make it to playoffs, you can come home with like 70 games or more, and that's almost like an NBA season long. And then national team usually takes your summer, so it's like you're like man, so it's uh, and now with a kid, I'm actually considering not doing it now, and I talked to them about it just because now it's a lot at stake. Then,
Yeah.
if you tell me I'll play all year round, whatever, I'll do it. And we had like the Olympics and all of that. It was great, but right now it's like another life that depends on me, and I know they have insurance for contracts and all that, but it's just it becomes a little more complex, and now you really have to think and pick and choose like what you gonna do.
How crazy was that experience of playing in the Olympics though? Playing against some of the best players in the world, representing their country. That's pretty much as high as the stakes go. There's just so much on the line. You had a chance to experience that in 2016. I vividly remember watching your game against Team USA and being like, damn,
Yeah,
G's matching up with DeAndre Jordan tough right now, like doing really well and holding your own. How great of an experience was that for you, and how much did it teach you about not only the game of basketball, but just how much further you feel like your career could go?
yeah, man. That was that opening ceremony and everything. I mean, it was just surreal. I mean, it was so loud that it almost felt like there was just no noise. Like I don't know if that makes any sense, uh, but yeah, it was definitely a dream come true, and not a lot of people get to experience that, and some people just once in a lifetime. And like I said, for me, I mean, I may not, if I decide not to do national team for a little while, like it may not ever happen again. So it's like it's something that definitely will stick with you, uh, and like you said, the best. Everybody goes there with their best team. Like nobody's like being playing the USA team. He was just, matching up with like Kyrie, like on the like not because I wasn't guarding him the whole game, but it was like on a fast break, and I'm like, man, I'm not even gonna try to reach for the ball right now. I'm not end up on ESPN. That's what I was thinking. I'm not gonna end up on
Right.
ESPN here. I want to actually, hold my own and figure it out. Like I
Mhm.
trust what I can do, and I'm gonna stick to that. Uh, and I'm like, well, at that point, I'm like, I know I'm strong. I mean, strong is strong in any league in any country. So I'm like, at least I have that. So I'm gonna use that. That's because I
Mhm.
knew because DeMarcus Cousins was on that team too, and I'm like, oh, I know
Oh yeah,
he likes
that's
to
right. Yeah.
yeah he likes to bully people, but I like to bully people too. So I'm like, okay, we'll see. And so I just took it as a challenge, and and yeah, DeAndre Jordan was one of the most athletic human beings I have ever seen. Like I remember I
Mhm.
pumped fake and he jumped, and then I jumped, but somehow he touched the ground and jumped again higher than the first time before I was out. I'm like, man, I don't know. It was like surreal, but, but definitely it was an awesome experience. I mean, just to be there competing with those guys and with the other teams too. I mean, like a lot of teams like France had Rudy Gobert there too, and we played them, and you know we play Australia that had Pat Mills and all those guys, and so it was just a lot of really good players in that tournament for sure.
Yeah. Gee, I understand that right now we're taking up some of, your parental duties because your son's taking a nap. So I'm not going to
Yeah,
hold you too much longer. I just got a couple of quick
sure.
questions I need to ask you. First
Yeah.
question, your first it's become one of my favorite questions to ask some of the guests on the pod who play basketball overseas. Your first meal when you got back to the States, what was it?
Well, man, I think it could have been Chick-fil-A. I think actually,
Hell yeah.
I like Chick-fil-A, man, and it's not. There's none everywhere. Like I don't think they have anywhere else really. So I
Mhm.
remember always I like Chick-fil-A.
Okay, so far that's you, that's Will Artino, that's Justin Carter. I
Oh,
think
for real?
Darrell Ashford said that too. Yeah, so Chick-fil-A has become a very popular
Yeah,
answer.
yeah.
Your favorite country to play in as a pro?
I would say, and not because I'm there now. Like Japan has been definitely not only because of basketball, just culture, like everything. I think, and if you haven't been there, you ever have the chance to visit, I totally recommend that you do go visit Japan. I mean, hands down, I would pick I would pick Japan.
Your favorite place to play on the road in the Valley?
Uh, you know what? You know what court I actually liked was I like the Missouri State court. I don't know why
Oh,
the Maroons.
okay.
I like that court. Yeah, I know it might be like
Yeah,
a different answer because maybe I don't know if that's I don't know what other people said, but I like that court. So I actually
it's been a lot of Wichita State. I don't, like
I mean
obviously because we're rivals and stuff like that.
yes,
You're the first Missouri State, but that arena was actually really cool too. They did a really
yeah,
good job at that time. I
yeah,
don't know what it looks like now, but at that time they did
yeah.
a really good job
There's something
of
about it.
packing it and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's something about
And
it that yeah.
last question, a coach or assistant coach who helped you, develop the most, especially because you're a post player while you are at Creighton, who would that be?
I think obviously I worked with a lot of people there. I mean, everybody was very helpful, but I think my coach Lutz helped me out not only on the court, man. I mean, also like just getting me there, like to that final. Because you know how it is. It's easy to get lazy sometimes. It's easy to like, And I remember he was it was a lot of tough love, but it definitely helped me kind of like get there, and so
Mhm.
I'll give a special shout out to Coach Lutz.
Thank you for stepping into the J with me. Any last words that you want to tell Jays fans before we let you go?
No, man, thank you for having me, and I appreciate also, you taking the time to invite me into your podcast, and to the Jays fans, I appreciate. I still get support from them, the really loyal fans, and I also hope they continue to support you and your podcast, and I hope you guys can keep on growing and do great things. So, like I said, thank you again for having me, and I had a great time. So, thank you.
Sounds good, G. Appreciate you once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to follow the Field of 68 Media Networks for podcasts such as this, the different guests representing their different alma maters. Appreciate you guys. We are back. We'll have more episodes coming up soon. And until then, so long, take care, stay safe, and go Jays.